So the first job I ever worked in was in fast food. Just like literally everyone else on earth, I guess. But the twist to this story is that the restaurant I worked in wasn't exactly the first place you might expect to see an Asian American slinging food at. So where did I work? Just this small little Mexican restaurant chain you might have heard of called El Pollo Loco. Huh? Wait, what?
Like the worst Spanish I ever heard.
What?
It's loud.
So long story short, I worked at this small little place you might have heard of called La Pollo Loco. Also guys, please make sure to subscribe. I really do appreciate it and it helps with the channel a ton. Alright, back to the video. Working at La Pollo Loco, I had like one pro I could think of off the top of my head and a whole lot of cons. Just to get the one pro out of the way, it definitely helped my overall health that I absolutely did not like the food at La Pollo Loco. The chicken was always saltier than a Smash tournament, and overall, I don't like Mexican food in general. If you guys are shouting heresy because of that, trust me, my homies are already yelling it back to me on y'all's behalves. All I'm saying is, I like chicken, and beef, and tortillas, and all that stuff, but can I genuinely say I fucking hate avocado? Who wants this beta goopy plant poop all up inside your food? I don't give a shit about the authentic Mexican food experience. Just give me a plain quesadilla with nothing but the basic bitch shit in it, please. But hey, for now, I'll probably save all my shitty food takes for an upcoming food takes video. So the number one thing that really sucked about working at La Pollo Loco was the language barrier. So just to set things up, y'all gotta understand that I am a massive extrovert. So naturally, I signed on to be a cashier, and honestly, it wasn't that bad. I got to talk to people and scoop food all day. Work was easy as pie if you ask me. But the thing about working in a Mexican-style restaurant in a predominantly Hispanic area as a first-generation Korean American who only speaks English, you might not have the best track record in customer communication. Deadass. A couple of times when I worked the cashier, I'd sometimes get customers who would just straight up refuse to be served by me because they assumed I didn't speak Spanish. And the worst part of it all is that they're right. So they'd normally let the person behind them go ahead to me while they waited for the cashier who was next to me, who was usually Caesar. He's the guy that referred me to the job after all. Sometimes when I'd be doing my thing, taking orders, I'd spot people in the line looking over at me and fiddling with their phones. And normally what this meant was that when they came up, instead of speaking to me, they just whip out their phones and show me a Google translated sentence of what they wanted. And every single time this happened, without fail, they'd never have everything they wanted specified. Oh, you want the 4-piece meal? Sure. Would you like a leg and thighs or breast and wings?
Huh?
I'll put you down for leg and thighs. And would you like regular or large size cups? Great. And which size would you like for your meal? You get 2 of them. ¿Habla español? No. Oh.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
But overall, I signed on to be a cashier to talk to people and up my social skills. And most of the time, the language barrier was never really too big a deal. I'd say only about 25 to 30% of my interactions at La Pollo Loco were Spanish-only speaking customers. And over time, I got used to the most common orders in Spanish anyway, so needless to say, people found other ways to be annoying. One time when I was working the register, some guy came up to me and said, "Give me the burrito." And so I asked, "Okay, sure, which one would you like?" "Dude, the one I always get." And I was like, "Sir, I have no idea what your order history is, but our most popular option is a chicken avocado burrito. Is that the one you want?" "Yeah, that's the one." "Okay, great. Anything else for you, sir?" "Nope, I'm all set." "Great." And so I kept on doing, you know, my job. And a couple minutes later, the burrito comes out. And so I bag it up and I hand it over to the guy. And a couple of seconds later, he comes back with a complaint. And so, I walk back to check out what the issue is. And up to that day, what this guy said next was the most entitled thing I've ever heard in my entire life. He said, "You're new here, aren't you?" Yeah, I am." "Yeah, you must be new. Look, my burrito has beans in it. Look, you see that? You see those beans? I never get beans. Remember my face, okay? I never want beans in my burrito, alright? Now go on, take it back. I want a new one." I don't know about y'all, but when I get something I don't want in my food that I just completely forgot to tell the cashier to forego, I just say fuck it. Might as well just take it off myself or just eat it like a big boy. But even on the off chance that I do go up and make a complaint about my order, maybe I'm allergic. Or maybe I have some sort of messed up traumatic childhood superhero origin story where a pinto bean murked my parents, stole my car, and killed my dog. Why do you need to put in that little tiny extra bit of effort to cross the line with a complete stranger just doing their job? Clearly, if you can't remember my face to recognize that I'm new, why should I be expected to recognize you? Do you guys ever associate memes with specific memories that for some reason you vividly remember after all this time? That's pretty much me with this meme. So every once in a while, a Korean person or couple would turn up to the La Pollo Loco for their chicken fix, and I was expected to help them if they happened to need any help and they only spoke Korean. And, you know, I can't blame them for putting that responsibility on me. You know, when you're being interviewed, especially for your first job, you put forward every little thing that even slightly makes you look more impressive or qualified for the job. I may or may not have told them to compensate for me not knowing Spanish, that I could speak Korean and Japanese, which, you know, 한국인 desu kedo, 한국어 조수 되나요? So needless to say, I should consider myself lucky that most Koreans, especially the ones that live in the US, can speak reasonably respectable English for the most part. Going back to the story, this one time an older Korean lady called me over to the counter. Naturally, as I should, I went over to see what the issue was. And she very crudely gestures and repeatedly says to me, poke, poke. And I legitimately thought for a solid 10 seconds, poke? Oh, she probably wants a poke utensil so that she can comfortably enjoy her meal. So, I hand her a fork, and she walks away happy with a big old smile on her face. And a coworker walks up to me and asks, yo, how'd you know she wanted a fork? And so I said, well, she was... Wait, there is no F sound in Korean. It simply doesn't exist. And F is most commonly translated to the P sound. And I'm pretty sure the Korean word for fork is the English loan word anyway, so... Well, what can I say? I guess I'm just that fluent in Korean. 한국 잘 해요, am I right? I'm just kidding, that's not what I said. But overall, working at La Pollo Loco was actually a pretty good experience. All my managers were super cool, there was minimal drama in the workplace, and the work itself was simple and easy enough to learn. But I didn't end up working there for very long, since transportation for me to and from work was an absolute joke. I literally had to Uber to work every damn day, and it was like a $20 Uber as well. And this was to and back. So the first 2.5 hours of work were basically rendered meaningless as I had to spend it on transportation. And this was all to set up the next chapter of my work life, which most would consider to be quite literally hell on earth.